Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's Ohio State football. Today, the Ohio State Buckeyes take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Hello, everybody. I'm Jack Kramer, along with Paul Warfield, as we get set to bring you all the exciting action of today's game between Ohio State and Minnesota. Coming into the game today, Paul, the Gophers have experienced their best start since 1976. Minnesota's 5-1. Lou Holtz has done a tremendous job with this team.
Well, Jack, you know, he came up here last year and he says, look, don't look for big things because I'm not a miracle worker, and all he's done is worked a few miracles here. The Gophers have really gotten off to a great start last year, knocking off some contending teams in the Big Ten, and already this year they've knocked off a dark horse contender in the Purdue Boilermakers. So it's a fine football club.
Well, a victory today for the Gophers would help this program turn the corner, so to speak, and establish Minnesota as a serious contender for the Big Ten Conference Championship. We're seconds away now from the start of today's game between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Broadcast and production of Ohio State football is provided in part through a funding grant from City Loan Bank of Lima, member FDIC, with offices throughout the state of Ohio.
1 year ago for this game, at the kickoff, some 15 to 20,000 seats were still available, but this year at the Metrodome, it's a sellout, a full house, in excess of 62,000 to watch the 5-1 Buckeyes take on Minnesota. The Bucks will be receiving the opening kickoff as Woldridge and Workman retreat to accept the boot coming up in seconds from Chip Lohmiller. Paul, the Buckeyes have really gotten the ground attack in gear the last several weeks, running for nearly 250 yards per contest in the last month. Good return by Keith Byers a week ago. This is meeting number 29 between Ohio State and Minnesota. Buckeyes lead the series 22-6. And in 1984, right here, the Bucks were winners by 13 points, 35-22. The last win for Minnesota came in 1981, 35-31.
Last year's game, Jack, you will recall, was a very close game. And, of course, the Minnesota Golden Gophers this year and the entire Twin Cities area is really up for this one today.
How about the return of Keith Byers? Did you expect him, Paul, to be able to carry the football 23 times a week ago?
I don't think Coach Bruce expected him to carry the football for that many times a week ago. He sort of surprised Earl, but Keith is a phenomenal athlete who is capable of doing great things. And, of course, his performance last week was simply outstanding.
Well, we won't see the Minnesota offense initially because the Bucks will receive the opening kickoff. But this Ricky Foggy is a quarterback who can beat you in more ways than one.
Well, up to this point, we've been talking about the great quarterbacks in the Big Ten week after week. Well, the fans might as well get themselves braced again. Here's another outstanding one, if not a great one. However, he poses a dual dimension. He's able to run the football more effectively than any quarterback Ohio State has faced this year, and yet he's developed his passing arm, and so he's capable of throwing very well, too. So provides a dual dimension, and, of course, Lou Holtz says he can beat you four ways: with his feet, with his hands, with his head, and also he's a gutty ball player, so with his heart, too.
Lohmiller prepares to kick off for Minnesota. Workman to the left, Woldridge to the right. Buckeyes will be advancing the football from right to left here in the opening period as Lohmiller booms it deep into the end zone and on through. And many of the 60,000 plus are on their feet following the kick by the Gophers.
Okay, the Buckeye lineup: Karsatos, Cooper, Byers, Lanise, Carter, and Taggart are the backs, and Cooper are the backs in quarterback. Here's Mike Lanise, Chris Carter, Ed Taggart.
First and 10 for the Bucks. Lanise splits to the left, Carter to the right. Byers in motion. This is Chris Carter for a 5-yard gain on the game's first play. Carter caught 2 touchdown passes a year ago against Minnesota here in the Metrodome. Steve Thompson, the defensive tackle, made the hit.
All right, the offensive line, Roy Graves, Jeff Eulenlake. Bob Maggs will be the big center, number 71. Jim Gilmore will be operating at the right guard post, and Larry Cotterbin will be the right tackle.
Second down and 5 yards to go for Karsatos and the Buckeyes at the Ohio State 25. Byers romping around right in, first down yardage. Keith Byers picking right up where he left off last week.
Keith Byers will follow Cooper on this play, taking the quick pitch from Karsatos. Cooper leads the way. Byers gets as much room as he can beyond the first down yard marker. Bounced out of bounds. Keith Byers, the big tailback from Ohio State, who returned last week. Earl Bruce giving him a chance to run right away in this ball game.
Earl is in his 7th year at Ohio State. His record with the Buckeyes is 61-17. That's the best mark in the Big Ten by any head coach since 1979. Play action and first down. Incomplete, intended for Carter. Good coverage by the Gophers against the aerial by Karsatos. 2nd and 10 coming up. Donovan Small, 35, a former tailback as a freshman at Minnesota, was in there on the coverage.
That's a tough transition to go from offense to defense, and when you're a former tailback, you like to run the ball, but Donovan Small has made that transition very nicely for the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
2nd down and 10. Line of scrimmage, the 32 of Ohio State. This is Byers on the sprint draw, and he picked up about 5 or 6 on the play. Again, Steve Thompson and Peter Nigerian, the fine linebacker, in there on the hit for Minnesota.
Bread and butter for the Buckeyes, sprint draw for Keith Byers, piling it up in that line of scrimmage. Good movement by the Ohio State forward wall. Buckeyes trying to establish something. It is important, Jack, that they get this crowd under control, as well as the Minnesota Gophers down on the field.
3rd and 5 following the Byers gain of 5 yards. Line of scrimmage to 37. Ohio State must reach its 42 for a first down. Karsatos had time but could not find the receiver, and the Metrodome is going crazy. Head coach Lou Holtz, in his 2nd year at Minnesota, will now see his offense get the ball following Tupa's punt. Tupa sends it to the 19-yard line. And the return is good for about 10 yards. Barry Walker downfield to make the tackle on Hare. The return the kick by Tupa for Minnesota. And here comes the Minnesota offense. Ricky Foggy at quarterback, and we'll see a lot of different formations for Minnesota offensively today, Paul.
Well, Foggy will be the instigator of the formations, but he'll do much of the running and the throwing. We're going to see an awful lot of him today and be talking a lot about him today.
Gophers run it for about 3 on their opening play. Kevin Wilson, a 5'11", 205-pound junior, carried forward to the 32-yard line.
All right, the Minnesota offense, that's Ricky Foggy. Kevin Wilson, number 31, will be the fullback. Valdez Baylor, former fullback, now the tailback. Gary Couch will be operating from the flanker position. Mel Anderson, 89, the split end. Kevin Starks, the big tight end, who is the leading receiver of the Gophers.
Second down, 7. Line of scrimmage to 32. This is Wilson. Kevin Wilson split the Buckeye defense for about 17 yards.
We saw this wishbone ride series run very effectively by the Colorado Buffaloes against the Buckeyes. Chris Spielman knocked to his feet there. However, Rogan comes across to knock off Kevin Wilson as he split right up through the middle on a tough trap. Good hard running by Kevin Wilson.
Good up front blocking supplied by Troy Wolkow and Ray Hitchcock, guard and center for the Gophers on that last play. As the Gophers, Foggy wedges out a couple on 1st and 10 from the 49.
Minnesota offensive line, Dan Reichen, John Lilleberg. At left guard, Ray Hitchcock is the center. Troy Wolkow, the right guard. And Jim Hobbins, the right tackle for the Golden Gophers.
Second down and 7 from the Ohio State 48. Foggy still has it. First down.
Jack, this is what makes Ricky Foggy so difficult. He runs that option so very well. He fakes the initial man. Now he has Valdez Baylor, the pitch man. Byron Lee plays the pitch man. Foggy gets a good block at the corner, and he's around the corner so fast. Very quick feet. Lou Holtz says this young man can beat you a lot of ways. One of the ways Ricky Foggy can do it is with those very quick feet.
Lou Holtz's club ran the ball last year for twice as many yardage as it passed. Valdez Baylor for a couple. Fred Ritter helped stuff the play for Ohio State. And Thomas Johnson assisted. Fred Ritter gets a start for the Buckeyes on defense, as does Darrell Lee. Eric Cumro at a linebacking post. Henry Brown gets the starting nod for Ohio State today. Chris Spielman is in there. And Thomas Johnson at a linebacker. And Byron Lee, who had such a great game a week ago against Purdue, starts for Ohio State. Second down and 8. Foggy keeps. Tackle by Spielman. It's another Minnesota first down. Paul, I think the Buckeyes would rather Foggy pitch the ball because that's one more way a mistake can happen. You've got to pitch the ball successfully.
Well, he reads it so well. He sees Byron Lee, number 82, that's right out there, frozen, and he makes the fake on the pitch, reads it, gets upfield, gets a great block from Lilleberg, number 73, gets downfield into the Ohio State secondary. One of the things you would rather see him do is to pitch the ball. You're right, Jack, because you don't want this young man to run it. He is a threat every time he carries the football.
1st and 10 for Minnesota. The Gophers can get a first down at the 1. Sprint draw action. Kevin Wilson for 2 to the 9. As Spielman submarine the play for Ohio State. We played 4.5 minutes of the opening period. Earl Bruce's Buckeyes got the ball first. Then following a punt, the Gophers are driving. William White in the secondary for Ohio State today. He teams with Greg Rogan, Sonny Gordon, and Terry White. And the Buckeye defense has its back to the wall. Second down, 8 for Minnesota from the Ohio State 9. Wilson diving over right guard. He picked up 2 more. Fred Ritter on top of him as Lou Holtz sends in the third down play call. Larry Kolick assisted on the last tackle for Ohio State. 3rd and 9. You're at the 8. A rollout pass play here, Paul. Is that in order?
Well, it's getting pretty tough to run up in the middle. Ohio State has played it very tough inside for the last 2 runs. I would suspect that with Foggy's ability to get outside and make things happen, he would have the option of either running or passing.
Eric Cumro tackles the quarterback at the 20. Eric Cumrow's 5th quarterback sack of the year.
Straight dropback action for Foggy Harry. Eric Cumrow, the big linebacker, 6'6", blitzing from his right side position. Foggy, as elusive as he is, could not escape the grasp of Eric Cumrow. Big play for the Buckeyes. Eric Cumrow does it again.
Lohmiller on to try a field goal of 35 or 36 yards. He's 1 for 2 this year from this range, and he hooks it toward the uprights, and it's good. Minutes and 34 seconds left in the opening period at the Metrodome. It's Minnesota 3, Ohio State nothing. An impressive drive by the Gophers, who did it on the ground. The Buckeyes have played very stubbornly against the rush the last several weeks, but boy, Minnesota took care of them on that drive, Paul.
Minnesota was very impressive on that jive track, basically using the option play with Foggy. As he showed his ability to get outside and around the corner, Ohio State is going to have to adjust his defense and take that away from him and force him to make that pitch. Right now, they're playing the pitch and they're allowing him to run and turn the corner. I don't think that they want to do that. It was an impressive drive. However, Ohio State's defense did rise up and stood firm down deep and close, forcing Minnesota to go for the three-pointer. So the Buckeyes, although they gave up 3 points, fortunately they did not give up a 6-pointer.
I kind of liken the situation out in the flat when the quarterback has got the football and has the tailback behind him to the situation in basketball when a single man is back trying to defense the fast break. He wants to go after the person dribbling the ball to force the pass.
It's a tough situation to be in, and all you can do is just try to keep them pretty much stymied until you get some support coming up in front to help you out on that play.
Buckeyes UPI poll this year, number 8. Of course, Minnesota cracked the top 20 in one of the polls. Gophers this year have already won as many games as they did in 83 and 84 combined. As Lohmiller, who booted the field goal, prepares to kick off for the Gophers. Workman is back for Ohio State. Well, this game beginning a lot differently this year in the Metrodome than it did a year ago when Ohio State ran up the first 21 points, and Minnesota could not get its offense in gear until midway through the second period. Lohmiller soars it 5 yards deep. Workman thought about it, but touches it down. And the fine freshman from Dublin, Ohio, says let's start at the 20. So that's where the Buckeyes will begin their second offensive thrust of the day. Lou Holtz, Paul, not only fielding a much improved offense over recent years here at Minnesota, but the defense is a lot better as well.
Very respectable defense. It's solid against the run and defends quite well against the pass also.
Buckeyes now employ Byers in the slot on the right. Quickie to Carter. Carter is close to 10 yards. Dwayne Dutrell, the 5'9", 179-pound junior cornerback, was isolated out there on Carter. He made the tackle. Brings up second down 1.
It's not a bad pass to start your second possession off with Jack. You just raise up and throw out to Chris Carter's pitch and catch. You come back 2nd and 1, and it gives you a lot of flexibility on this particular down to either run or throw a pass.
Bob Maggs over the ball at center. Cooper behind Karsatos in the eye. Karsatos still has the football. He sails it long. No good. Intended for Carter. Donovan Small was glued to Chris Carter. Karsatos tried to reach him with a bomb, but just missed. Well,
this time, Jim Karsatos faking to Keith Byers, and he's going for it all up on top, deep into the post pattern to Chris Carter. Looked like Carter and number 7, Matt Martinez, legs were entangled, Carter turned to look around to see if there was going to be any call from the official. No call came from the official, but it's a good pass to start off the second down with, because it lets Minnesota know you can throw deep.
Byers went airborne on 3rd and 1, and he picked up that yard. Earl Bruce's Buckeyes have a first down at the Ohio State 32-yard line. 8 minutes and 16 seconds left in the opening period. Keith Byers rambled for 106 yards in 23 carries 1 week ago against Purdue. And many of those 106 yards you could classify as extra yards, made only the Keith Byers way. Byers trying to cut back against the grain, and he picked up about 4. Najarian and Williams, the strong safety on the tackle. Defensively for the Gophers, Larry Joyner at a linebacker, Thompson at left tackle. Doug Mueller gets a starting nod at the nose guard. Anthony Burke is at the other tackle. Mark Desbovic, the defensive right end. Second down and 6 for the Bucks. Just across the OSU 35. Byers right up the middle, sheds a tackler or two. Peter Najarian finished him off. And speaking of Najarian, he starts at a linebacking position along with Bruce Holmes from Minnesota. Dutre at a cornerback, along with Martinez. David Williams, the strong safety, and Donovan Small, the free safety. Buckeyes are a yard short of a first down following 2 Byers runs. It's 3rd and 1 at the 40. For the 3rd straight time, Byers. Mark Desbovic met Byers at the line of scrimmage.
Keith Byers can usually make this short yardage situation, but number 32, Peter Najarian, is right up there. Mark Desbovic and also 48, David Williams. All 3 converge on Byers to stop him short. Now watch the penetration right there. That's by the fine Minnesota defensive end, Desbovic, who makes the stop.
Tom Tupa, who's averaging 43.5, set to punt for the Bucks. And it's a high floater, hauled in by Hare. It is 14. And he advanced it about 3 yards to the 17. As Jim Karsatos makes a phone call to the folks upstairs to get some counsel on the Ohio State offense, which has appeared to be a little on the sluggish side here in the opening stanza. 5 minutes, 34 seconds left in the first quarter. Minnesota leads Ohio State by a score of 3-0.
Well, thus far, Jack, the Buckeyes have been probing Minnesota to find out what's really going to work well this afternoon. And Minnesota has played a very stiff defense against the run and has done well in defending against the pass thus far, too. As we had mentioned a little bit earlier, this is a greatly improved Minnesota defensive team. Peter Najarian, the fine inside linebacker. We'll see a lot of this afternoon. It spoke about what it meant to have Lou Holtz up here as the head coach and how he's changed the thinking around to more positiveness, and no longer are they being beaten by the other powers like Oklahoma in the scores of 80-13 or so, or for that matter Ohio State, which ran up 68 points on Minnesota a little over 2 years ago. So this is a spirited young team and growing by leaps and bounds, and both offensively and defensively they're a fine club.
Bucks have certainly gotten a taste already of a Minnesota defense which limited an Oklahoma team earlier this year, which has a vaunted running attack, as we all know, to just 2 touchdowns. And then a couple weeks later, held the Purdue Boilermakers, who scored 27 points against the Bucks last week, to just 15 right here in the Metrodome, when Minnesota won by a score of 45-15.
And I think they showed what they're made out of by stopping one of the best backs in the country on a 3rd and short yardage situation.
Yes, indeed. And now Foggy and the Gophers are on offense inside their own 20. And they crack a running play for about 6 out to the 23. It's Kevin Wilson being tackled by Chris Spielman of Ohio State. As we approach the 5-minute mark, first quarter, Gophers 3, Buckeyes nothing. Larry Kolick did not get a start today. He's the Buckeyes' regular nose guard. He's got a touch of the flu. He may see some action. Henry Brown starting in his place. Gophers run it very close to a first down. The flanker, Gary Couch, who does carry the football some, picked up about 5 yards on the play to the 26, and he's maybe 1 short. 3rd down and 1 for the maroon and gold. Out of the wishbone. This is Valdez-Baylor. There may have been a fumble. Let's see if the ground caused it. Yes, it's Minnesota football. The ball may have popped loose. Earl Bruce thinks that the ball was shaken free as Baylor was heading to the turf, but the official ruled that the ground caused the fumble by Baylor.
Valdez-Baylor, second man who takes the handoff, pops through a big hole in the Ohio State interior line. Sonny Gordon comes up and pops him, gets some help from some other Ohio State players. Greg Rogan there. Big hole. Baylor fumbled the football, however, maintained possession of it for Minnesota.
1st and 10 Gophers. As Wilson stretched it forward for perhaps a couple. Brutus is displaying some happiness, although I think down inside he's got to be a little upset about that last call.
Would have been a big break for the Buckeyes, who have been on top of it as far as the giveaways and takeaways this year.
2nd down and 8 for the Gophers at their own 40. 3.5 minutes to go, opening period. Now from the I. Foggy, long count. No gain. Perhaps he lost a half yard. Fred Ritter sat him down. A penalty flag was thrown.
We have a hold on the offense.
A major penalty against the Buckeyes. What would you do in this situation, Paul? It's either 3rd and 10 if you take the play, or 2nd down all over again, and nearly 20 yards or more if you accept the penalty.
I think if you accept the penalty, you always push them back another 15 yards or so, 10 yards or so rather. And you're trying to, of course, get as much advantage as you can field position-wise as possible. They can stop Minnesota on the next 2 offensive plays, then perhaps the Gophers will have to punt from just a little bit further back in their own territory.
And the Buckeyes have done just that, accepting the assessment against Minnesota. Gophers with 2nd and 19. Foggy, a sprint out pass. It is complete. Mel Anderson reaches the 30. A pickup of only 6. And the Gophers now have a 3rd down and 13 yards to go situation staring them in the face. Thomas Johnson, number 98, who had a fine game a week ago, as he does about every week for the Bucks, made the tackle on Anderson.
These wide receivers, Jack, have not caught very many balls, but they have extremely impressive averages per catch. and Anderson is averaging exactly 41 yards per catch.
Boy, back when you played, that was a day's worth of catches.
A year.
Foggy, deep drop, lofting it up the field. Starks. It's a catch. Kevin Starks, who hauled in a touchdown against Ohio State a year ago, made a nifty reception at the OSU 40.
Big third down possession play after the play action fake. Foggy will look for Stark coming underneath the coverage. Makes a high fingertip catch. Terry White is the man to bounce him out. Now from the reverse shot action, Terry White coming underneath Kevin Starks, the senior tight end, 6'4", 225, the leading receiver of the Gophers.
2 minutes left, opening period. Foggy still has the football. This is a pitch, a sweep to the right. Buckeyes tried to string the play out as the ball carrier was Ed Penn. A 6'2", 200-pound freshman tailback. Gain of 3 on the play. Karsatos and the Buckeyes would like to get the ball back, but right now Ohio State's defense has still got a job to do. 2nd and 7 from the Ohio State 36. Wishbone attack again. Kummerow collars the quarterback after a short advance. That sets up 3rd.
Eric Kummerow played that play extremely well, Jack. He held his position, sort of forced and cornered Foggy, making him go up inside of him, and yet putting Foggy in such a position he could not deal the pitch off to one of his backs trailing him. Fine play by Eric Kummerow, putting the Golden Gophers in a 3rd down and possession situation of about 5 yards.
They must reach the 30 of Ohio State. Foggy still has it, and he's met by Spielman after a 2-yard pickup. Thomas Johnson assisted. Darrell Lee coming off the pile. Lee, the junior from Marion Franklin. But Chris Spielman made initial contact, and it's 4th down for the Gophers. Line of scrimmage, the 33 of Ohio State. A field goal try from this distance would measure 50 yards. And Lohmiller is only 1 of 3 outside 40 yards this year. The clock is winding down. Seconds left in the opening period. Let's see if Minnesota gets the snap off. Nope. Whistles blow just as Lohmiller boots it. The kick would have been good, but time may have expired before the snap. Let's see if that is indeed the case. Yes, it is. That's the end of the first quarter here at the Metrodome. We'll have the Minnesota field goal try at the outset of the second stanza. That's the end of the first period. It's Minnesota 3, Ohio State nothing. We'll be back with more Ohio State football in a moment.
The New York Times says the undersea world of Jacques Cousteau has opened the eyes of millions. See the 8-time Emmy Award-winning Undersea World of Jacques Cousteau, one of television's most distinguished series.
On WCET, Sunday night at 7. Public television is alive and well in Cincinnati, but only with your support. This is WCET, TV 48, Cincinnati, Ohio.
And production of Ohio State football is provided in part through a funding grant from City Loan Bank of Lima, Ohio, member FDIC.
This is Jack Kramer with Paul Warfield at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. We're seconds away from the start of the second period. The Gophers are attempting to expand on a 3-0 lead. When play resumes, Minnesota will set up for a 50-yard field goal try, which was attempted at the end of the first period and was good. but the snap occurred just after time had elapsed, and the Gophers will have to try it all over again at the other end of the stadium. Buckeyes get a reprieve of sorts. Paul, what kind of pressure will that put on the kicker now? He's had a couple minutes to think about it.
Well, he's probably a little bit let down by knowing that he did make what is a big field goal. When you kick a field goal from 50 yards or better, that's a big one in anyone's league. And yet they just did not get the field goal or get the snap for the field goal try before time elapsed, ending the first quarter. Might be a little bit down. It'll be interesting to see if he can rebound to make as good a kick as he made initially, hitting the ball as well as he hit it to carry that distance. And of course, the accuracy from that distance is phenomenal too.
We'd like for you to drop us a note in the mail if you're enjoying the coverage of Ohio State football. Send your comments to Ohio State Football, WOSU TV 34, 2400 Olentangy River Road, Columbus, Ohio, 43210. Adam Kelly to hold for Chip Lohmiller. A 50-yard attempt. You've got a good look at it. It's perfect.
Well, Jack, that's some kicking for Lohmiller to come right back after hitting it right before well, not before the period ended, but after the period had ended, and then to keep himself up to come back on the other end of the field and knock a 50-yarder in again.
Lohmiller had entered the game only 2 for 5 this year in field goals beyond 30 yards, and today has booted 2 in 2 attempts from distances in excess of 30, and that one was from 50. And the Buckeyes are down by a score of 6-0. Just seconds into the second quarter, as the Gopher attempts to boost the spirits of the Minnesota crowd even further. Workman retreats to the goal line. He's the lone deep man for Ohio State. Lohmiller set to kick off for Minnesota as Woldridge has joined Workman back inside the 5-yard line now. Lohmiller steers it to the back of the end zone, and Ohio State will have to start at the 20. Paul, I had thoughts before the game that the kicking game today would be to the Buckeyes' advantage. We all know how good a kicker Spangler has become, and of course Tupa, though just a sophomore, has proven himself as one of the country's outstanding punters. But wow, and Lohmiller, Minnesota's got a fine kicker in its own right.
Well, he's shown with the 2 50-yarders that you don't necessarily have to go far beyond midfield to get a 3-pointer.
With Graves out ahead of him. Fine open field tackle at the 25-yard line. Bruce Holmes, the linebacker, who garnered 19 tackles earlier this year against Wichita, pulled Byers down. That doesn't happen very often.
Well, it was a super play by Holmes. He ran Byers down front behind, basically, and you don't see that happen very often.
Second and 6. I formation for the Bucks. Line of scrimmage to 24. Byers again. Near the 30. May have a first down. Jeff Uhlenhake, the freshman from Newark, was leading the way as Holmes and Dutrell made the tackle for Minnesota. Holmes hails from Detroit, Michigan, which is Pepper Johnson's home.
And we see Holmes in action as he takes a step to the left, fights off of initial block, fights off another two blocks, and unassistedly pulls Keith Byers down.
It was an OSU first down. 1st and 10 for the Scarlet and Gray at the 30. Carter makes a leaping stab of the football at the 35-yard line. Detrell covered him.
Normally that's a relatively safe pass, Jack, but that time Jim Karsatos elected to throw it to Chris Carter going into the right sideline. A couple of linebackers was in his face. That's why he had to wait and delay for a second. And there's always a possibility that you don't see those linebackers and they can get in your vision and pick that thing off.
Following the advance of 5, it's 2nd and 5. Byers right up the middle. He's got about 6 or 7. 13:20 left in the second quarter. Donovan Small, who had 13 tackles against the Bucks a year ago, finally got Byers to the turf here.
Straight handoff to Keith Byers. This time he's going back. He cuts back from right to left side of the line. Meets a little bit of resistance, but shows you his great power as he plugs away. Initially met by Donovan Small. Larry Joyner, also number 20, came in for the hit.
From the 41, a first down, Ohio State. Karsatos keeping, and he's got about 6 more. Karsatos ran into Larry Joyner downfield at the 47 of Ohio State.
Well, Jack, obviously is a mix-up in the backfield because all of the backs went to the right. Jim Karsatos pulled out and looked to hand the ball to someone on going to the left. However, he showed great poise and patience as he was out there on the island all by himself and faked the ball as if he was going to throw to get a Minnesota defender to go up in the air, and then made pretty good yardage off the play.
Maybe the Buckeyes ought to put it in the playbook. It picked up 6 yards. This is Byers reversing his field. David Williams made the tackle from behind. 3rd down coming up.
David Williams makes a great play here. Keith Byers sees it all jammed up, running behind the blocking of Gilmore, and Cooper turns to run a back. He finds a spot to the opening, now running for daylight. David Williams, number 48, shoestring tackles him from behind. The sophomore safety, great job. Big loss for the Buckeyes. 3rd in possession now. See what Karsatos has.
Buckeyes must reach the Minnesota 49. 3rd and 6. Karsatos. Nice catch by Carter. Perhaps a penalty against Minnesota for grabbing the face mask. Carter snared it, then was immediately yanked to the turf by Desbovic, number 59, who may have been guilty of a penalty flag.
We got a face mask on the defense.
Infraction against Minnesota.
All right, after the fake, Jim Karsatos is looking for Chris Carter coming underneath. As you see him right here, make the catch, and you see Desbovic right there on the tackle. However, he has his hands right in Chris Carter's face mask, and that's a penalty against the Gophers. And now you see it from another angle as Desbovic pulls Carter to the turf, reaching in, grabbing the face mask accidentally, but nevertheless he did grab it, and it is a first down for the Buckeyes.
And from the 50, 15 yards were stepped off against Lou Holtz's Gophers. It's first down, Ohio State, from the maroon and gold 35-yard line. 11:20 left, second quarter. Minnesota 6, Ohio State nothing. Keith Byers gaping hole as Byers ripped forward. for about 13 yards. Let's see where the ball is officially spotted. Donovan Small ran into Byers, but not before. Big yardage.
All right, Minnesota's coming with a blitz. And Keith Byers pops through the hole. Good blocking by 56 Jim Gilmore and Jeff Ulenik, number 68. Byers makes big yardage through the initial part of that line of scrimmage. Minnesota came with a blitz with Larry Joyner.
First and 10 from Minnesota 22. Karsatos goes airborne. Another penalty flag. A marker is down. Lou Holtz not happy about what he sees. And the officials say, Lou, get off the field.
Karsatos is throwing for Chris Carter down at the right sideline. He'll be defended by number 45, Dwayne Dutrell. Dutrell has his left arm hooked around Carter, and that's perhaps exactly what the officials saw. It looked like a relatively good play, but watch the left arm of Dwayne Dutrell as it is wrapped around Chris Carter's side right there, and that's what the officials are calling.
Lou Holtz is fit to be tied. He wants a timeout. Clock stopped at 10:47, remaining second period. Well, from Lou Holtz's angle, Paul, there's no way he could see that arm wrapped around the receiver.
There's no question about that. The only person who could see it are the people in the end zone, perhaps, if they were looking for it, and they're Minnesota fans, so obviously they're not looking for it. But the official, that's his job. He's on the spot, and it was a good call. Although from the angle that Lou Holtz saw the play, it apparently looked like Dutrell had made a good play.
Yeah, Chris Carter's body was in between the sight that Lou Holtz had and Dutrell, and Dutrell's arm, which was draped on the side of Carter before the ball arrived, and that's pass interference.
Dutrell would have made a great play had he not wrapped his left arm around Chris Carter.
So the Ohio State offense has asserted itself here in the second period. It's been aided by a couple of penalty markers against the Gophers. And when play resumes, the Bucks will have a first down inside the Minnesota 10. Minnesota crowd here at the Metrodome. Many of them on their feet, chanting defense, defense. Lou Holtz is the 12th winningest coach in the country among active Division I coaches. Earl Bruce is number 11, by the way. This is Byers. Byers butted his helmet up against several Gophers just across the line of scrimmage.
Donovan Small, number 35, is filling a spot along with Nigerian. Byers will come up the middle. Other Minnesota Golden Gophers just closed that hole and seal it off. Byers followed number 44, Cooper, on the play, but not really much there. Not much moving out of the Minnesota defensive interior line, Jack.
So far, Paul, George Cooper's been a decoy. He's not carried the ball yet.
He has not carried it as much as he's carried in the previous 2 ball games, but of course with Keith Byers back in the backfield, you would look for George to do more blocking, which is what he's doing.
Second down from the 5, and Karsatos cannot hear. Paul, does the official have to honor the request by the quarterback in that situation?
The officials, of course, want a fair game for both squads, and it's very decisive here and a very important point on the field now, and the officials want the offensive team to at least be able to hear their signal or their cadence being called. And so whatever it takes to quieten this crowd so that at least that message can be communicated to all of the members of the Ohio State unit, the officials will take whatever time necessary.
Minnesota 6, Ohio State nothing. Second and goal at the 5 for the Buckeyes. Lou Holtz says, hey, let's cool it for a second or 2 here. This is Byers, left guard. Byers' surge was stopped at about the 3. Third down coming up.
Very emotional stand by the Minnesota defensive front and entire defensive unit as Byers tries left guard, and you see not really much there at all. There's quite a bit of contact is made. Good defensive line play by the Minnesota defensive 11.
Well, there may have been another penalty marker on the play. The officials sort it out now. And the Gophers have been hit with another infraction. Offside call against the maroon and gold, half the distance to the goal line. So the Buckeyes get that second down play all over again. Byers took the pitch, touchdown, Buckeyes.
Well, after a series of tries going to the middle, in which the Minnesota defense was very stubborn, Ohio State decided to go outside with the pitch to Keith Byers off of the belly action series. Keith, of course, got outside. Peter Najarian, the fine inside linebacker of Minnesota, was out there one-on-one with Keith Byers, but not very many people are going to win one-on-one battles against Keith Byers.
Rich Spangler sizing up the extra point attempt. He sails it between the uprights, and the Buckeyes have taken a 1-point advantage, 7-6, with 9 minutes and 37 seconds left in the second quarter.
Here we are. The flip to Byers, Najarian and Byers one-on-one. That's a mismatch. Byers will win it as he wins most of them. Touchdown for Ohio State.
Well, Keith has been used to scoring TDs for the Bucks. For the last 2 years, he rushed for over 20 each season. And Earl Bruce's Bucks, after a slow start, have leaped in front by a point, 7-6. Last year at this time, the Buckeyes were enjoying a lead over Minnesota, but it was a commanding 21-point advantage, 21-0, before Minnesota began to rally.
Well, we got a pretty even ball game here today, Jack, and Buckeyes finally got on the scoreboard, but Minnesota has shown in the first half thus far that it can move the football the entire length of the field.
You surprised, Paul, that Byers has carried the ball as much as he has carried it in a quarter and a half of action?
Well, based on his performance last week, was really the surprise, coming off of the broken bone in the foot, having not played for at least several weeks and carrying the football over 20 times at least. I was surprised by that. So today, I'm not surprised that he's carried as often as he has carried thus far, because he's already had at least a good week's work in.
Earl Bruce said this week that Byers' effort is truly amazing and a great tribute to him, as the Buckeyes went 80 yards in 10 plays to get the 6-pointer, which was followed up by Spangler's PAT. The kickoff is hauled in about 7 yards deep in the end zone by Mel Anderson. And the Gophers will begin this offensive thrust from the 20, 1st and 10. 9:37 remaining in the second quarter. And the run-oriented Minnesota offense returns to the field here at the Metrodome. Buckeyes, Paul, against Colorado, needed a series or two to adjust to the Buffs' wishbone attack. Maybe we'll see some improvement here by Ohio State's defense as Minnesota continues on offense now in the second period, as the Buckeyes smell out that play very well. Byron Lee, who had an excellent game last week, came up to make the tackle. Alan Holt is the new Minnesota signal caller, a freshman from Miami, Florida, as Ricky Foggy looks on from the Minnesota sideline following the loss of 1 at 2nd and 11. Well, Pudgy Abercrombie was the intended receiver, and a Holt overthrew as Lou Holtz has inserted some youngsters into the Gopher backfield. Penalty marker down.
Holt looked like he was really wound up on that little short flare out of the backfield, and Abercrombie.
We had a pass behind the line, therefore there was no interference downfield.
Abercrombie, who only stands 5'8" tall, wasn't quite tall enough to reach up for that one, Jack.
Buckeye offensive line getting a rest, and after a slow start the first 2 weeks of the year, the Buckeyes offensive tackles, guards, and center mags have really gelled and done an outstanding job. There's a long bomb, almost intercepted by Terry White, as Holt wound up and threw one about 35 or 40 yards. Mel Anderson, the intended receiver of Holt.
Holt rolling to his left this time. Good protection stops. He's throwing for it all, looking for Mel Anderson, who's got the big fat 41-yard average. Terry Anderson right over there. I don't know how he missed it. He probably doesn't know how he missed it either. Terry White, rather. Terry White, 5'9", 175-pound safety, who's made some big interceptions this year for the Buckeyes already. Has 2 interceptions. That could have been number 3.
Adam Kelly, a 43-yard punter, is ready to kick to Mike Lanise, who's back at his 35. The kick went short to Terry White, who snatched it at the 45, and the Bucks get excellent field position. With 8:42 left in the second quarter, Ohio State 7, Minnesota 6. Paul, any thoughts behind the substitutions by Coach Lou Holtz?
Well, it didn't appear that Ricky Foggy looked like he was injured on the bench. Perhaps Lou Holtz just wanted to change his offense around, and his plan is to go with some substitutions. I'm sure that we'll see Foggy and also Valdez Baylor and David Tuck and the starters back in there very shortly. Not much was accomplished offensive series by the Golden Gophers, and as you said, Jack, Ohio State is starting right at their own 40-yard line and in excellent field position. So if the Buckeyes can take advantage of this field position, they will start to exert some control over this football game, at least from the offensive standpoint.
Well, there's a break in the action, so let's set up another Buckeye trivia for you. Here's the question. How many academic All-Americans does Ohio State have? Multiple choice. A, 14, B, 21, or C, 29. We'll have the answer coming up for you later on. Well, the Metrodome here is a beautiful facility. Minnesota cheerleaders, Paul, maybe even more attractive than the Metrodome. What do you think?
I would say so.
First down for Karsatos and the Buckeyes from the 45. Oh, Byers is wrapped up. Anthony Burke, the junior defensive tackle, 6'3", 250-pounder, pushed Byers to the ground, and Keith just had no room to run. That's all there was to it.
Well, when a defensive lineman gets that kind of penetration before a back can readily get the handoff, I don't care whether you're Keith Byers or any other back. You're just not going to gain yardage. Fine play by Anthony Burke.
Vince Workman now dotting the I in the backfield. It's Cooper and Workman behind Karsatos. Workman still has it. And Workman danced across the 50 to the Minnesota 49. And he appears to be a little ouchy. Steve Thompson belted him.
Karsatos will get the ball, flip it back to Workman. He will fake a handoff to Nate Harris and then follow Cooper, cutting up inside, cutting back against the grain. Bounces off one tackler, but is stuck pretty good by the second tackler, and now Workman is down on the turf. Ohio State trainers are attending to him.
Well, the Metrodome buzzing today with a sellout crowd in excess of 62,000. Paul, what do you think about playing indoors? You like it, dislike it? Of course, you didn't get that much of a taste of it in your pro career, did you?
Well, I had an opportunity to play in a couple of indoor facilities up at the Pontiac Silverdome, also at the Astrodome, which was the very first one of the enclosed facilities. It's a different environment, but of course, if you're playing up here in Minnesota late in November and early December, you like playing indoors here. However, if I had my druthers or my preference, I'd much rather play outside. It's kind of an artificial environment to play inside, but on the very cold and severe weather days, it's certainly acceptable.
Well, it's a beautiful day in Minneapolis today. We certainly could play football outdoors in conditions nearly like this inside because the weather's outstanding, but the climate is controlled here at the Metrodome, and it's a beautiful facility. And so far, the fans and you at home have enjoyed a good football game. 7-6. Buckeyes lead it with 7:50 left in the second quarter. Workman came off the field under his own power and will be on the sidelines for at least the next play. Keith Byers is coming back into the Ohio State lineup. That carry by Workman, Paul, was the first time a running back other than Keith Byers lugged it for Ohio State this afternoon.
And Workman, as you know, Jack, has been progressing well. He's gotten his average per try up to about 6.4 yards per carry, but now we're back to the main action with the main guys.
3rd and 4. Karsatos with play action. Shoots it for Carter, and he has it at the 41-yard line of Minnesota. Matt Martinez, the right cornerback, latched on to Carter from behind, but not before Chris made the first down reception.
Matt Martinez is a fine cornerback who is covering Carter here out of the slot in a one-on-one situation. And again, Chris Carter, one of the fine pass receivers in the Big Ten and perhaps in the entire country, wins more one-on-one battles than he loses.
7:20 left, second quarter. Buckeyes by 1 point, 7-6 over Minnesota. This is Byers. Keith may have chewed up a yard or two. Anthony Burke, one of the maroon-shirted Gophers, in there on the tackle, as Earl Bruce uses his tight ends to send in the plays. Second down call coming up. Buckeyes need 8 for a first down at the 39 of Minnesota. Two receivers split right. Johnny Woolridge with a nice alley to run through. There is a penalty marker down in the Ohio State backfield.
Minnesota was gambling on that play with blitz, Jack, but perhaps they may.
Face mask on the defense.
Another penalty indicated against Minnesota. Johnny Woolridge perhaps shaken up for the Bucks.
Minnesota blitzing, number 20 Joyner there blitzing, as you see coming across. Woolridge just runs right by him and around the corner, and then runs into a series of maroon jerseys led by number 88 Bruce Holmes, who puts a pretty hard hit on John, also assisted by Dwayne Detrell, number 45.
Well, the Buckeyes had been heavily penalized this year coming into the game today, but it's the Gophers who have been saddled with the infractions here this afternoon, and it's cost them dearly.
Well, you're absolutely right. In a couple of occasions in that first touchdown drive of the Buckeyes, there were 2 penalties that were very costly, particularly a face mask penalty that was assessed against Minnesota that led to a 15-yarder. And then later on in that drive, another 5-yard penalty inside of the 5-yard line, which was half the distance, that also hurt their chances. So penalties have directly affected the Golden Gophers in a negative perspective today.
They sure have, Paul. Minnesota, coming into the game today, had been penalized so far this year 25 times for 216 yards, an average of 36 yards a game, but they have exceeded that already today in a quarter and a half. Here's that Buckeye trivia question for you again. How many academic All-Americans does Ohio State have? A, 14, B, 21, C, 29. The answer is B, 21, the most of any Big Ten Conference school. Johnny Woolridge is the Buckeye who's shaken up. Vince Workman slightly injured on the play before that, and he is up, as you can see in the left portion of your screen. Workman does appear to be all right. Woolridge is now coming off to the Ohio State sideline. Woolridge, the junior tailback from Akron, Ohio, played his high school football at Akron Central Howard, where he scored 40 touchdowns during his high school career, and he's had over 3 100-yard games. He's had 3 100-yard games for the Buckeyes in rushing the football this season. So he will be missed as one of Byers' backups. First and 10 for Ohio State following the penalty against Minnesota. Cooper rambling outside right tackle for nice yardage. 6 minutes left, second quarter. George Cooper's first carry of the day.
George Cooper, the big fullback, kind of the forgotten man today, and that's exactly what Ohio State wanted Minnesota to think on that particular play, and they gave it to him going right up the middle, and Cooper made good yardage.
Bob Maggs over the ball at center. 2nd down and 6. Correction, 2nd and 4 following Cooper's 6-yard pickup. Cooper doesn't get that much this time. Again, a penalty marker down. Donovan Small and Larry Joyner on the tackle of Cooper.
We have a hold on the offense.
Now this time the Buckeyes are hit with the penalty. The play did not pick up a first down, so Minnesota has a decision facing them. Do they take the play and confront the Buckeyes with 3rd and...
I think they would push them back, Jack.
Johnny Woldridge on the Buckeye sideline is being checked out closely.
Appears that they're going to apply an ice pack in the area of his lower back or rib area or something. Johnny Woolridge seemed like he sustained a pretty big hit right in that area when he carried the football.
Following the 10-yard assessment, the Buckeyes are looking at 2nd and 14. Karsatos shoots it. It's caught. Hauled in by the tight end, Ed Taggart. Shy of a first down, the Buckeyes will face 3rd and about 6.
Coverage by the Minnesota secondary has been very good deep on the deeper receivers. Karsatos is having to go underneath the coverage to the tight end and sometimes to the back. That time he hit Taggart underneath the coverage coming from right to left.
That was Ed Taggart's 16th catch of the year. Buckeyes must reach the 14 for a first down. Karsatos spirals it. It is broken up. Matt Martinez stepped in front of Mike Lanise.
Jim Karsatos is blitzed by number 48, David Williams. As you see him, he has to deliver the ball quickly. Matt Martinez almost makes the interception in front of Mike Lanise. And here comes the blitz hard on Jim Karsatos. He just gets the ball away and goes to the turf very hard himself.
4th down, 6 yards to go, and that means Spangler is on to try a field goal of about 38 yards, and it is dead center. So Rich Spangler hits it from 38 yards away, and Spangler is now 7 for 7 this year on field goals inside 40 yards. And with 4:26 left in the second quarter, the Buckeyes lead expands to 10-6. Buckeyes, Paul, have been a relatively healthy ball club the last few weeks, but boy, you hate to see the 2 people who took Keith Byers' place while he was out go down. You just hate to see that. They played so well, and you hope that Workman and Woolridge can get back in there quickly.
Well, you'd like to see them return quickly. Of course, we hate to see anyone injured during the course of the ball game. Keith Byers just returned last week himself, and yet indicated in a post-game interview that there's always a possibility that he could re-injure his foot. So I see that
Good point.
Vince Workman, number 42, is now up on his feet and will be going out on the field on this running down on this kickoff. So perhaps Vince has recovered from some of that slight injury that he sustained a little bit earlier.
Johnny Woldridge hasn't. He's still on the sideline, as you can see there. Johnny Woldridge certainly would love to be on the field of play. He has been an outstanding performer for the Bucks this year, having averaged per carry 4.5 yards. Woolridge scored 5 touchdowns for Ohio State in the first 6 weeks. But Spangler certainly missed that one as he towed it out of bounds. And the Buckeyes will have to do it all over again. What do you think the strategy was there, Paul? Spangler was trying to steer it to the corner of the field, or did he just shake it, do you think?
Well, he's been kicking the ball very deep and very well with no returns, and so I think that he just shanked it or missed it. Did not place his foot on it well, probably off the corner of his foot, did not strike it squarely, and the ball just sliced right off to the left side of the field immediately. A little bit of a break for Minnesota. They perhaps will field this ball right at about their 5-yard line, so it looks like for the first time they will be able to get a return. And Anderson, who is the deep man, has been returning them for a little bit over 22 yards a try this year.
Here's the kickoff coming to Anderson, who had a long run back late in the second quarter against the Bucks a year ago. And he streaks right back up the middle across the 30-yard line. He almost broke that one for the distance.
Anderson, who's made a lot of big plays catching the football this year, said before, had a 41-yard per average catch. This time takes the kickoff, breaks right up the middle. Look at that hold as it breaks right immediately. Looks like he's going places. And number 24, that's Mike Wood, dives and makes a big tackle, or Anderson may have broken that play.
4 minutes, 21 seconds remaining, second period. Ohio State 10, Minnesota 6. Buckeyes have bounced back from a 6-0 deficit to score 10 points in a row. Foggy has returned to the Minnesota offense, and he was tripped up. That play lost a couple yards as Minnesota goes backwards to 2nd and 12 from the 32-yard line. Eric Kummerow knifed in to make the stop on the Minnesota quarterback.
Foggy making the initial fake to Kevin Wilson, pulling the ball out, and tripped over Ohio State defender Eric Kummerow, who came down hard from his linebacking position.
Foggy will run, and he's caught from behind. Kolick and Kummerow and Alex Higdon, the sophomore from Princeton, who's seeing some defensive tackle action today. Caught up with Foggy. No gain, 3rd and 12.
Eric Kummerow, as you see him right here, will slide around and pursue and help bring Foggy down as he attempts to escape out of the pocket.
Kummerow, the Buckeye sophomore from River Forest, Illinois. 5th leading tackler on the Bucks this season. 3rd and 12. Foggy rifles one, and catch is made at the 47-yard line. It's Mel Anderson, and he was wide open. Nobody within 5 yards of him.
Mel Anderson going down about 15 to 18 yards, curling in over the middle. Foggy rifles the ball right in there to him. He has to go back on it, but he makes a good adjustment on the ball. First down for Minnesota. Another look at that shot as you see him reach back over, make a fine catch.
2:43 left, second quarter. Foggy still has it, and he slides forward for about 3 on the play. Chris Spielman covered him at the 49 of Ohio State.
Buckeyes are doing a much better job of playing against that option now, Jack. Stringing it out, bringing the support from up on the inside to cut off all of the possible escape lanes for Jerry Foggy.
You can practice against a simulated wishbone during the week, but boy, it's not like playing against the real thing. Ricky Foggy is, well, he's Ricky Foggy. At 2nd and 7. He pitches this time to Anderson. He's got a first down and then some.
A lot of action on that particular play. Ricky Foggy spinning a reverse spin going to his right, as you'll see it right here, and then flipping right back to Mel Anderson. With the flow going one way, Anderson with his great speed gets a good block, gets outside, following another block, getting as much real estate as he possibly can, and turning it upfield. Greg Roden and Terry White made the stop for the Buckeyes.
Alex Higdon stuffs the ball carrier Gary Couch after a short advance. Thomas Johnson was also there. Couch, 21, has caught 8 balls this year for 291 yards. And he also runs it some for the Gophers. He does double duty. Second down and 8 at the Ohio State 30. Foggy pitching. This time it's Baylor circling the corner, or I should say Wilson. Oh, and he's smacked down at the 28-yard line. Terry White came up to provide outstanding support against the run. And he belted Wilson to the ground right in his tracks.
Wilson getting this flip going outside. He gets around Thomas Johnson, but Terry White comes up and absolutely just really puts a big hit on him. That hit, as a matter of fact, sent Wilson over to the sidelines, and he was replaced in the ball game.
Terry White, the fine sophomore from Cambridge, Ohio. Well, the Gophers have utilized a timeout, and Minnesota has 1 remaining here in the first half. 53 seconds to go. The Buckeyes lead by a score of 10-6. Lou Holtz has got the football down inside the Ohio State 30. What, with 1 timeout left, what kind of strategy do you employ here? How do you get the football into the end zone with a timeout in 53 seconds?
Well, he still has plenty of time to do that. His team is going to have to use a little bit more of a hurry-up offense, and up to this point, we haven't seen them necessarily utilize that hurry-up offense with 53 seconds remaining on the clock.
He's got a 3rd down here now. He's got to get the first down, first of all.
They've got to get the first down, first of all, but also you have to remember that the one thing that he wants to absolutely go in at halftime is protecting the possibility of the 3-pointer that he has. So he's going to go for the first down in this instance. May call another timeout afterwards, depending on what happens. Of course, the chains will have to be moved up so he can get by, if he can have his team line up in a hurry, if he completes a pass or gets his first down by a run.
In the backfield behind Foggy is Puck, the fullback, 44, who's been inserted. 3 wideouts this time. Fred Ritter almost got the quarterback. It's a screen to Puck. Spielman gets him at the 20. At the 19, it's a first down for Minnesota.
When you have a quarterback with great athletic ability like Ricky Foggy, he can do something like he just did on his own.
And that's what the timeout was all about, to set up that screen, and it worked to perfection. 43 seconds to go. Foggy to go up top again. A catch inside the 15, down to the 10. Mel Anderson.
Anderson did a good job, but he should have gotten out of bounds because the clock will continue to run.
Gophers do have a timeout remaining. 20 seconds left now in the half. 3 wideouts, a lone setback. Anderson at the 6.5. Clock stops at 13 seconds.
Now, Anderson did the right thing that particular time, but the play before, the wrong decision was made when the receiver did not get out of bounds. But this time, very wisely, Foggy wants to stop the clock. This is the Screen pass to the middle. Great athletic ability. Foggy just eludes the tackler himself. And then Puck gets the first down.
Minnesota struck for a touchdown late in the second quarter last year against the Bucks as they began to make that game very interesting. And now trying to take the lead as Foggy runs for it.
Watching, and Lou Holtz has to be very happy about what he just saw, but Lou Holtz has said that Ricky Foggy can beat you a lot of ways, and that time he showed you that he can beat you with those fast feet of his as he was going back to throw a pass, and he just simply showed his great athletic ability by outmaneuvering 2 Buckeye defenders to get into the end zone.
Foggy will remain on the field as it appears the Gophers will go for 2 points after, leading now 12-10.
And Foggy will look at the touchdown play again as he goes back. He wants to throw the ball, get some pressure from Byron Lee, steps up. Now he's out racing a defender. That's Terry White right there, and he gets to the end zone ahead of Thomas Johnson, number 98. Great athletic ability.
Gophers utilize the wishbone. Foggy keeping. He doesn't make it. So he pitches. Let's see if he was down. His knee touched the ground before the pitch out to Hare. Foggy, wow-wee, held onto that football to the last split second, and his knee had just touched the ground before the release.
Foggy on the option right here gets inside of Terry White. He runs head on into Thomas Johnson, who has him at that point. Now as he's going down to the ground, it's awfully close as to whether his knee was down. He flipped it to Hare, and Hare falls into the end zone, but that's too close to call. Let's take another look at it. From another angle, his knee may have not been down. But the official who's right there on the spot says he has a better shot of it than I have it, Jack, sitting up here, and he says it was down. So a break for Ohio State, unlucky break perhaps for Minnesota.
Yeah, that's how difficult that play was to call. We couldn't tell with instant replay and a slowed down version of it at that.
From 2 angles.
From 2 angles. And it was a toss of the coin from up here, so you can imagine what the official was viewing. And he had to take a look at it during live action, of course.
Another look at it, as you see Foggy right here. This is the touchdown run. Getting by Terry White, Sonny Gordon lunging for him, but Foggy gets the ball across the plane for the 6-pointer.
5 seconds left in the first half. Minnesota will have to kick off, leading by a score of 12-10. That was Foggy's 8th touchdown scamper of the season. Workman on the left, Ross on the right. Everett Ross is now in, along with Workman, to receive the kickoff from Lohmiller. As soon as the Buckeye touches it, the clock will begin. And it rolls on through the end zone. The Bucks will have it at the 20. 1st and 10 with 5 ticks left on the scoreboard clock. An exciting first half of action. Here's the touchdown run again.
Foggy showing great athletic ability. Now he gets out of the pocket. Terry White lunges at him, doesn't get him. And Sonny Gordon makes the final stab, but he breaks the plane and gets into the end zone. Big 6-pointer for the Golden Gophers to take them up in this ball game, 12-10.
Boy, except for the one offensive effort when Foggy was out of the football game, Minnesota has moved it pretty well, Paul.
They have moved it well on the ground.
Last play of the half, Karsatos intercepted. Oh, and Minnesota fumbled it after picking it off, or they might have had a shot at a touchdown. It appeared as though the Gophers were trying to lateral. An exciting first half at the Metrodome, Paul.
Exciting and a big break for Ohio State at the end. That could have been a big six-pointer for the Gophers.
Sure could have. That's the end of the first half here in Minneapolis. It's Minnesota 12, Ohio State 10. Back with more Buckeye football in a few moments.
City Loan Bank of Lima, Ohio. Member F.
There, be warned. You've been lunching on leaves for too long, and the leaves and their plants are fighting back with every weapon and defense at their command, from chemical warfare to camouflage to all-out killer attack. Hey, it's a jungle out there, and every plant and leaf has to fend for itself. So be there when the leaves take on the butterflies and all.
Look at that. It's beautiful.
This week on Masterpiece Theater, the race begins.
There is but one spot on this side of Antarctica from which the pole can be reached, and we're in it.
The last place on Earth, a landmark adventure on Masterpiece Theater.
Watch it tonight on WCET TV at 9. If you've never been a member, join. If you're a long-lost friend, rejoin. If a friend would enjoy a membership, sign them up. This is viewer-supported public television. WCET TV 48, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Broadcast and production of Ohio State football is provided in part through a funding grant from City Loan Bank of Lima, member FDIC, with offices throughout the state of Ohio.
It's the second half of Ohio State football. This is Jack Kramer with Paul Warfield at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. We are seconds away from the start of quarter number 3. The Buckeyes are on the short end of a 12-10 count. The first half coming to a close when Minnesota intercepted a Karsatos pass in the final 5 seconds, Paul. Then it was fumbled. Buckeyes dodged a bullet. The man who intercepted the pass for the Gophers could have run it in for a touchdown had he not coughed it up, perhaps attempting to lateral the football. Statistically, Paul, in that first half, what really impresses me is the accuracy of Foggy, who is less than a 50% thrower this year. He is 6 for 8 today in throwing the football.
Well, his percentage can be a little bit misleading because they've made a lot of big plays by throwing the football. They don't throw it very often, but when they do throw it, they throw it very effectively. And he's shown that here today, that he can make the throws and he can be an even higher percentage passer than his statistics have indicated going into the ballgame.
Buckeyes have rushed the football for about 1,000 yards in the last 4 weeks, but well behind that pace today of 250 a game in the last month, and that they rushed it 19 times for only 85 yards in the first 2 quarters of action. Minnesota, on the other hand, outrushed Ohio State, 111 total rushing for the Gophers. Anderson returns the kickoff from a yard deep. Good downfield coverage by the Bucks as they hem Anderson in across the 10 at the 12. John Sullivan from Timberlake, Ohio, the freshman, number 57, was the first white-shirted Buckeye to race downfield to make contact with Anderson. Just beyond the 11, it's first down for the Gophers, who scored a TD late in the second quarter to take a 12-10 advantage. Foggy calling signals. He ran for 38 yards in that first half. Valdez Baylor surging out to the 19. Byron Lee and Greg Rogan on the tackle of Baylor, who rushed for 141 against Indiana last week.
Buckeyes started out in pretty good field position here, Jack, and yet on the first offensive play, they've allowed Minnesota to move out towards the 20-yard line, and so they're starting to lose a little bit of this field position after having Minnesota hemmed up pretty good.
That was only Baylor's third carry of the day. From the wishbone, 2nd and 1. Foggy keeping. First down at the 24. As Foggy safely slipped to the turf after about a 5-yard advance. Some of the fans at the Metrodome have not filled their seats after intermission, but we've got a sellout here. 64,455. That, by the way, is a new attendance high here at the Metrodome. Eric Kummerow meets the ball carrier just across the line of scrimmage. Kevin Wilson plowed right into Kummerow, and Darrell Lee, number 95.
Foggy on a straight handoff right up the middle to Kevin Wilson. Kevin Wilson met promptly by Thomas Johnson. Also Eric Kummerow on that stop. Darrell Lee assisted.
2nd down and 7 for the Gophers. Minnesota must reach the 33 for a first down. Foggy's pass was tipped. It might have been caught anyway at the 36-yard line. Sonny Gordon covered the receiver very well, but Hare, who was on the ground, snared the football.
Well, that's a superlative catch. I don't know how you make them on your back, but that time Hare did make that catch on his back. Foggy faking the option once again, drifting along the line of scrimmage, waiting and waiting, and finally throwing. Hare slips to the turf, but he manages to have great enough concentration to make the catch. Thomas Johnson made the stop.
From the 36-yard line, it is a first down for the Gophers. Employing the wishbone, puck is collared at the 39-yard line by Thomas Johnson. Thomas Johnson had 8 solos, 7 assists last week. Earl Bruce's Buckeyes trail by 2 points, 12.5 minutes remaining, third period. Now from the I formation. Puck and Baylor behind the quarterback, Foggy. And it was Puck diving across the 40 to the 41. That will set up a third down, and at least 5, perhaps 6 to go for a first down.
Buckeyes seem to have adjusted rather well to that quick hitter that Minnesota was employing for some very positive yardage in the first half. They've seemed to shut it down pretty good.
Well, about the only wishbone yardage Colorado picked up against Ohio State was in that opening series out in Boulder, and then late in the game after the Bucks had inserted some substitutes. Foggy looking downfield on third down. A beautiful catch at the sideline by Anderson. Foggy's throw was right on the money, and acrobatically Anderson stayed in bounds.
Again, Minnesota does not use the pass very often, but when they do, they know what they're doing. Nice completion from Foggy right here to Anderson. Watch him keep both feet in. All you need is one in college football, but great awareness by Anderson over on the sideline. Exactly, he knew where he had to be for the first down. He also knew how close he was to the out-of-bounds marker.
Right at midfield, it's a first down for Minnesota. Foggy chants out the count. He still has it. Thomas Johnson covered Foggy after a pickup of a couple or 3 on the play. As we near the 11-minute mark, it is 2nd down, 8 coming up for Minnesota at the 48-yard line of OSU. Foggy, by the way, has not missed a pass yet today. The substitute for him, Holtz, missed twice. But Foggy has not thrown an incompletion. He still hasn't. This is Anderson. Near 1st down yardage, maybe a foot short at the Ohio State 40. Sonny Gordon covered Mel Anderson, the 5'10" junior, split in. Clock stops at 10:40 left in the 3rd period. Gophers have now employed 2 tight ends on 3rd down, less than 1. Second man through his hair. 1st down yardage. Minnesota successfully using a number of running backs, Paul.
Utilizing all of their running backs and running the ball very effectively, but picking their spots and throwing it, keeping Ohio State off balance. This is a good mixture of the run and the pass, and the Gophers are moving the football awfully well right now.
From the Ohio State 37, it's 1st and 10. This is Wilson. Gordon meets him. Thomas Johnson sat on him. Another penalty marker on the ground.
We have a hold on the offense.
Well, you heard the referee. Holding against Minnesota has been called.
As you see, the flip goes from Foggy right back to the running back. And Couch doesn't have very much room to run. Good defense by the Buckeyes. Sonny Gordon, Thomas Johnson, also Terry White was in the area. They closed that option play off extremely well. Played it tough for very short yardage. Holding penalty assessed against Minnesota Golden Gophers now.
Buckeyes have accepted the penalty against Minnesota. 1st down again and 20 now. Ball pushed back to the 47 of Ohio State. Minnesota sets up in the I formation. Foggy being pressured. Holloman jerks him down back at the 43-yard line. Ray Holloman, the junior defensive tackle, 6'4", 256-pounder. And that's a big quarterback sack for Ray Holloman.
That is a big play for the Ohio State defense. Minnesota was having its way with the OSU defense, moving the football virtually at will before the holding penalty occurred, and now another big play coming right behind that, with Holloman making the individual sack on Foggy back there trying to set up the pass.
Buckeyes now registered 18 quarterback sacks this year. And now it's 30 yards to go. 2nd down is Foggy. Airs one out. Catch is made. Mel Anderson.
Isolated look at Mel Anderson here running his pattern. You see him start down on William White. White sort of bumps him and then tries to drop back into a zone area. But in between the two Whites, William and Terry White, Anderson goes high for this Foggy pass at another angle, as you see Foggy throwing directly into Anderson's hands as he goes high. Big play, a lot of real estate made on that particular play.
Foggy looking, throwing. This is Starks, the tight end, who had delayed at the line of scrimmage and then crept downfield. As Foggy is now 11 for 11. Sonny Gordon on the tackle, and the fans are on their feet. Well, Ricky Foggy last week against Indiana, Paul, was 0 for 7 throwing the football. He's turned that around today in a big way.
Well, you know he's capable because the week before against Purdue, he was 7 out of 7.
Wow, he is red hot, and he's got the Gophers 1st and 10 at the 25. Draw play. Valdez Baylor blasting forward down inside the 20 near the 15.
Valdez Baylor, the leading rusher, gets the call on this draw play, finds good blocking up front, fights his way down closer to that Ohio State goal line territory. The Golden Gophers are really on the move. They've overcome the big penalties in this drive, Jack, and so you can see the determination in this football team to move the football.
Gophers once needed 30 yards on this drive for a first down. This is Hare slashing down near the 5.
Now the Gophers seem to be taking turns as it's a different back. It's Hare as he cuts her. Look at that blocking at the interior line of Ohio State. Big holes in the middle. These backs are starting to reach into the secondary before they're reaching some resistance. The resistance came from Terry White and Sonny Gordon in the Ohio State secondary.
Line of scrimmage is the Ohio State 7, 1st and goal. Wishbone right up the middle is puck, and he meets a stone wall just inside the 5. Byron Lee led the wave of white-shirted Bucks. Chris Spielman also off the pile. Down to 7:25 left in the 3rd quarter. As Minnesota, Paul, has consumed more than half of the 3rd period on offense. 2nd and goal from the 5-yard line. This is Hare circling left in down to the 2. Spielman wrestled him down. Goal to go from the 2 for the Gophers.
Ricky Foggy on the option. He really makes this work. Steps back, reads the play, deals it off to Hare. Hare gets a block on the outside. Now he turns upfield. Spielman makes the tackle right at about the 2-yard line, assisted by William White. Andy Hare also splits time as a flanker, but does some very fine running for these Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Line of scrimmage is inside the 2, 1.5 yards away from the goal line. Foggy still has it. He's over.
Well, you said it best, Jack. The one man out on the island this time is Terry White. It's like playing a fast break, 2-on-1. He's got to play 2 players, Ricky Foggy and the option man. Foggy makes a wonderful fake and takes the ball in the end zone unassisted for 2-yard gain and a touchdown. Another big play.
Lohmiller trying to tack on the PAT, and he does so. Minnesota 19, Ohio State 10. Nearly a 9-minute drive for the Gophers.
Now here's what it looks like to be out there playing the option man. Terry White, number 12, will go for the fake on the pitch. Foggy tucks the ball under his arm, gets across the goal line, and makes the touchdown going in, standing up. Ground level shot coming up of that same play. Terry White, number 12, right at your screen. Watch him go for the fake right here by Ricky Foggy. And Foggy takes it in for the score.
Almost like Foggy had a string on that football, Paul. He seemed to let it go and bring it right back.
Sure did. He's a very clever runner and the perfect player to run this option offense of Lou Holtz, and that's why it's so effective.
Ohio State now down by 9, 19-10, and the Bucks have got their work cut out for them. Buckeyes yet to get the football this half.
A drive like that, Jack, will put a lot of pressure on the Ohio State offense, as sometimes frustration or anxiety will develop when an offensive team has been sitting on the sidelines for as long as the Buckeye offense has been sitting on the sideline. They get over anxious to make something happen fast. In that time, Minnesota held that football for close to 9 minutes.
Boy, they sure did. The Buckeyes don't have to get anything in a big hurry. They've still got nearly a quarter and a half. But Lou Holtz's club has proven itself. It deserves every bit of that number 20 spot in the country. And you would think would be in this conference race right down to the wire. They beat Iowa late in the year last season. They've already knocked off Purdue this year. Played Oklahoma tough. Lou Holtz, a Kent State alumnus from Ohio.
From East Liverpool, Ohio, I believe. Kent State alumnus. Coached with Earl Bruce, as a matter of fact, on the 1968 Ohio State National Championship team. This is the second opposing coach this year that Earl Bruce. Bill Mallory, a couple of weeks earlier, Earl faced, also was on that staff. And so a lot of the coaches who have come out of Ohio State and who was on Woody Hayes' staff during that period have gone on to have very successful other coaching careers. Lou Holtz, of course, one of the most successful coaches in all of college football.
Miller will stride forward and kick it off. Ross and Workman are in the end zone. No return as Workman catches it, touches it down. There are penalty flags in the corner of the field as Scott Leach and a Gopher seem to be going at it hot and heavy. And it caught the attention of the referee.
Dead ball, personal foul on the offense.
Let's see where the ball is going to be placed down following the penalty, which you heard the official say occurred at the end of the play. A dead ball foul, and it's marked off against OSU.
Well, players have to learn how to keep their composure. That doesn't do anything except hurt the Ohio State offensive unit. It's a little bit under the gun right now. It's even further under the gun in that they're going to open up their attack starting inside of the 20-yard line, right at about the 10-yard line, and that's almost like playing with your back up against the wall.
A momentary delay is at the sideline. Earl Bruce and his coaching staff confer with a couple of the officials. Buckeyes displeased with the ruling that 10 yards were assessed against them. And Karsatos and the offensive unit must begin back at the 10. Byers skirting right in for about 5 or 6 yards. Peter Nigerian greeted him. 6 minutes left, third quarter. Bruce Holmes assisted Nigerian on the tackle of Byers.
Tough yardage running for Keith Byers all day today. In the first half, he had 50 yards on 14 attempts, but he earned every one of those 50 yards as the Minnesota defensive front 4 or 5 and those linebackers have really been responding to Keith's challenge.
Keith's longest in the first half was 13, so on 13 carries, he had only 37 yards. This is Smith up the sideline to the 45-yard line. Karsatos hit Doug Smith. Donovan Small caught up with Smith. A Gopher nearly picked it off in front of Smith.
Karsatos will try to hit Smith over in the flat. Does so. Detrail will go in front of the ball carrier, just misses it. But that opens up the door for Smith to go down the sidelines, makes a big gainer on the play. Donovan Small bounces him out of bounds. Ohio State now out of the hole and in good field position.
just across the 43 from the I formation. Byers romping to the near sideline, and he's got about 3. David Williams came up to meet Byers after an advance of, call it less than 3, more like 2.5 yards. Brings up second down. 5:20 remain, third quarter.
Yardage for the Buckeyes has been coming very hard this afternoon, whether on the ground or through the air. Minnesota just does not give up the yardage very easily.
Second down, 8. Karsatos to go up top. Turn in pass to Lanise at the 41-yard line. Dwayne Dutrell made the tackle on Lanise, who caught the pass after hooking into the middle of the field.
This time Karsatos is looking. It's a blitz coming on him. He gets good protection. Keith Byers steps up there, protects him well. He fires it into Mike Lanise, who was hooking over the middle. Lanise is brought down by Donovan Small and number 45, Dwayne Dutrell.
Lanise, the Mayfield, Ohio senior, has given the Bucks a 1st and 10 at the 41 of Minnesota. 5 minutes even left in the third period. Gophers lead by 9. Byers needs a block from Cooper. He gets it and dives down inside the 35 to the 33. Donovan Small made the tackle on Byers, who may have appeared at the end of the game last week to have been a little weary, Paul, and you'd expect that to be the case, but he's taken the punishment very well today.
A lot of running last week, for his initial start in Big Ten action, and to go over 100 yards and to go over 20 carries. So he had to be a little bit weary at the end of last week's game, but he responded well.
Byers had 164 yards last year against Minnesota. And he romps around right in, and he's knocked out of bounds. Buckeyes are short of a first down.
Here's a quick pitch to Byers, who will follow Cooper. He's looking for a spot to run. He has to go head on with Joyner. Joyner hits him good. He spins away from him. But then a whole host of tacklers, led by Steve Thompson, number 96, stack up Keith Byers on the sideline short of a first down marker.
3 wideouts employed by the Bucks on 3rd and 1. Workman is now in behind Cooper in the Ohio State backfield. George Cooper plunging to the 30. He appears to have the first down. 4 minutes and a second to go in the third quarter. Cooper only carried twice in that first half for Ohio State. First down and 10 for OSU from the Gophers' 30-yard line. Byers still on the sideline with a slight limp. Play action. Catch, but Taggart in a crowd at the 20. One of the Gophers in the ring around him was Holmes. Nigerian was also there. Good pass by Karsatos.
Karsatos will look first to Chris Carter on the right, but then he will pick up Taggart right in the middle, and he rifles the ball in between 2 defenders right there. Bruce Holmes, number 88, and also Peter Nigerian. Fine throw by Jim Karsatos. It had to be through the needle.
Another first down for Ohio State. This is Vince Workman angling outside left tackle for a couple or 3. Bucks will be confronted with second down and 7 or 8 for a first down. Call it 8 at the 18 as we approach the 3-minute mark, third quarter. Minnesota 19, Ohio State 10. Byers still on the sideline. It's Cooper and Workman behind Karsatos. George Cooper barreling down inside the 15 to the 13. Joyner and Holmes on the hit. Buckeyes, Paul, no doubt will call on Cooper a little more. In there. 3rd and 3. This is Vince Workman. Very close to a first down. All depends on where the official spots the football. It appears as though it will be right at the 10. And that's a shade short. It will be 4th down and less than 1. Taggart has come on with a play. Lou Holtz has sent in some reinforcements for the Gophers. The most critical play of the game coming up for the Buckeyes. 4th down, less than 1. Karsatos tried to sneak for it. He may have gotten it. Very close. Again, it depends on where the official marks it, and he signals first down, OSU.
Keith Byers still on the sidelines, walking in obvious pain, not able to shake his limp, being attended to by trainer Bill Hill over there. Byers still walking alone on the sidelines, does not appear ready to come back into the ball game yet. Right at about this point in the ball game, he has scored so many times, Jack. You'd like to have Byers in the lineup if he's ready, if he's able.
Oh, you're right. He's money in the bank down at this end of the field, that's for sure. Goal to go for the Buckeyes. First down, 10-yard line. Cooper, left tackle, driving to close to the 5.
It is imperative that the Buckeyes come out of this drive with a minimum of 3 points, hopefully with 7 points. They've taken it from all the way from their end of the field all the way down now to the Minnesota Gophers end of the field, right at about the 5.5-yard line. They need to get it in.
Inside a half minute to go, 3rd quarter. 2nd down and goal just outside the 5-yard line. Cooper again twisting down to the 1.5. When was the last time you saw a quarter like this, Paul? 2 possessions, 2 long drives, one with the Bucks, one with the Gophers.
Well, probably the last time you saw Michigan and Ohio State play in the 60s.
Clock winding down. That is it. The end of the 3rd quarter from the Metrodome. It's Minnesota 19, Ohio State 10. Back with more Ohio State football in 1 minute.
The opal fields of Australia are a hotbed of greed, and here a boy finds a fortune in precious stones, struggles to save his relationship with his father, and attempts to solve a mysterious crime. The Fire in the Stone on the next Wonderworks.
On WCET, Monday night at 8. Public television is alive and well in Cincinnati, but only with your support. This is WCET, TV 48, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Distinguished past, a dynamic future.
Broadcast and production of Ohio State football is provided in part through a funding grant from City Loan Bank of Lima, Ohio, member FDIC.
This is Jack Kramer with Paul Warfield at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. We're seconds away from the opening of the 4th period. Buckeyes knocking on the door of the Gophers' lair down at the 2-yard line. 3rd down coming up. Keith Byers on the sideline. He's out for at least this play and maybe much of this 4th period, Paul.
Well, trainer Bill Hill is now checking that ankle. They're trying to, it apparently looks like either pull the sock back up or perhaps even get it down. But Keith was limping very noticeably, and that is the ankle that he originally injured, with the broken bone rather in his foot rather than the ankle. However, he is now pulling his sock back up and could be fatigued from a lot of work today and just needed to release some pressure maybe on the bandage or something or another, and perhaps he may be ready to go back out there. But I'm sure that that trainer Bill Hill is going to make that decision, and along with Keith, and we'll have to see if he does return to this ball game.
Earl Bruce's play is on the field. Two tight ends are in, Hutchison and Taggart. Earl Bruce certainly didn't expect to be in this position, and Buckeyes a 7-point favorite, Paul, on the short end by 9 as Hill continues to examine Keith Byers. It looks like he's going to tape it up a little more.
It's probably rewrapping it, Jack. Initially, perhaps the bandage could have been a little bit too tight, and as the game wore on, Keith felt the pressure and was hampering his ability and his effectiveness to run the football. So it looks like he is rebandaging it and rewrapping it.
Football resting just outside the 1-yard line. Or I should say just outside the 2-yard line. Third down. It's Workman to the 1.
Vince Workman, normally you see Keith Byers in the spot and you usually see him go up and over the top. Workman met right away by Joe Christopherson, number 39, and stopped about 1.5 yards shy of the goal line.
And we've got a timeout as Earl Bruce wants to talk things over with his players. Buckeyes have expended a timeout. They've got 2 left in this half. Minnesota has its full complement of 3 remaining. 14:36 left in the game. Without Byers, what would you try down here, and where would you run the football if you run it?
Well, Minnesota's been playing pretty tough up front. Either they're going to have to go outside on an option as they did with Byers earlier in the ball game, or Jim Karsatos may have to elect to roll out to try to throw the football in on some form of option pass play. But it's been pretty tough running straight ahead at Minnesota, particularly down close towards the Golden Gopher goal line. In any event, this at this point certainly is the biggest play of the ball game. Ohio State needs points in this situation. They spent the entire rest of that third period, about 6 or 7 minutes, moving the ball downfield. They must come out of this drive with something.
A lot of credit goes to the Buckeye offense, which was on the sideline much of that third quarter. And has fulfilled its role very capably in the one opportunity it's had to advance the football in the second half. And would like to finish off this long drive with 6 points. They're down by 9. A touchdown, a conversion, and a field goal would give Ohio State the lead. And the Bucks are going to disdain the 3-point try here and go for the touchdown. Cooper and Workman behind Karsatos. Wide open, Taggart. Karsatos with a very clever fake into the middle. Taggart was by his lonesome.
Well, all 65,000 plus the 11 Minnesota Golden Gophers were assured that Ohio State was going to try that center of Minnesota's line one more time, and give a lot of credit to Cooper and the backs, who made a great fake into the interior line, and also to Jim Karsatos, who pulled off the fake, and then Taggart, who did a great play-acting job faking the block down and then sliding out to the outside and clear for the pass. Touchdown pass.
Very important extra point coming up by Spangler. He tries to cut the Minnesota lead to 2, and he does. 14:31 left, fourth quarter. It is Minnesota 19, Ohio State 17. In a thriller here at the Metrodome.
Excellent faking right here by the backs. First Cooper, then Workman, who goes up and in Karsatos, sliding out. Taggart, who faked the block down, releases out to the right side. He's all alone as the center of attention from the Minnesota defensive line was right on the ball carriers. Watch the Minnesota defenders on this line of scrimmage as they go all the way in. And the blitz is on for Karsatos, but he coolly dumps the ball out to Ed Taggart, number 80, waiting all alone. Big touchdown for the Buckeyes. That was important for them to get on the scoreboard with the 6-pointer. They needed that.
Karsatos had to pitch that football with someone tugging at his jersey. Managed to keep his balance and deliver a strike to Taggart. Buckeyes are right back in this game, trailing by just 2.
Right back in the ball game. It was an excellent call from the bench. Ohio State has not shown that down on the goal line this year, so it's something that they had, and they picked the opportune time to call it.
That for Taggart was his second touchdown catch of the year, and a mighty important one. Got a break in the action here at the Metrodome. If you've got some comments to make about Ohio State football, we'd like for you to write us and tell us why you appreciate our coverage. Send the note to Ohio State Football, WOSU TV 34, 2400 Olentangy River Road, Columbus, Ohio, 43210. Well, Paul, you have mentioned several times this year about how important it is for the favored ball club to keep that underdog down as long as that can possibly happen. But boy, Minnesota did not allow that to even begin to happen today, as they have played the Bucks at dead even so far, if they haven't outplayed them a little bit. 90-yard drive by the Bucks. Minnesota had an 80-yard drive before that. Anderson on the return. Good coverage again by Ohio State. Mike Sullivan and Mike Wood, who've been downfield a couple times today on kickoff coverage, did a job again on that one. Byers by himself on the sideline. He'd like to be on the field, that's for sure. Well, Minnesota's got the ball now, but he couldn't be out there at this point. But let's hope Keith can get back in there.
Certainly will need his efforts if he can return to the ball game for this final decisive fourth period.
Minnesota possession beyond its own 15. Foggy, a screen to the right to Baylor, and he is wrapped up by Rogan from Urbana, the sophomore. Sterling play by Greg Rogan. He diagnosed that one perfectly. We near the 14-minute mark, fourth period. Buckeyes trail by 2. Let's see what the Gophers risk here on 2nd and long, back up inside their own 15. From the eye. Foggy tosses, deflected. Sonny Gordon was in the area. Minnesota's first incompletion today, or at least I should say Foggy's first incompletion today. His backup Holtz missed the mark twice in the second period.
First time today, Ricky Foggy is forcing the football to Mel Anderson as he throws back across his body, almost intercepted by Gordon. Rogan could not quite adjust to that deflected football. Could have been big trouble. Ricky Foggy, those are his stats right there for today. Pretty impressive.
12 for 13 now in passing. Retreating again on third down. He lets go a bomb, intercepted. William White, Ohio State football at the 46-yard line. Foggy threw one up for grabs that time, and the sophomore from Lima nails it. Buckeyes possession.
Fine interception by William White, who just played the ball all the way, giving the receiver, Gary Couch, plenty of room to work with. Rather, that's Hare instead of Couch, giving him plenty of room to work with, going high for the interception. However, that works just as good as a punt for the Golden Gophers, because the ball is back across the 50-yard line.
Buckeyes with 3 wideouts in on 1st and 10. Karsatos slips it out in the left flat to Workman, and he was bumped after reaching for the football. It's incomplete. Matt Martinez covered Vince in the left flat. Workman has picked off 2 Karsatos aerials this year. And he was the target on that one. It's 2nd and 10. Just short of the Ohio State 47. Clock stopped at 13:26, 4th period. Split backs. Draw play. Excellent penetration by Steve Thompson as he hammered Workman just across the line of scrimmage. Third down, call it 10 for a first down. Buckeyes must reach the 43-yard line of Minnesota for a first down. Karsatos pitches down the middle. Lanise on the run to the 30. Donovan Small caught up with him. A big third down. Pass completion, Karsatos to Lanise.
Key play by Mike Lanise. We are isolated on him right now as he gets by cornerback and hooks right inside in between Donovan Small. Makes the catch. Turns upfield, gets as much yardage as he can, and then is brought to the turf. First down for Ohio State.
Cooper and Workman behind Karsatos. George Cooper barreling up the middle for about 7. "12 minutes, 12 seconds to go, 4th quarter. Minnesota got on the scoreboard first today with a pair of field goals to lead 6-0. And Byers retaliated. Spangler's PAT made it 7-6, and his field goal made it 10-6. And then the Gophers came back with 13 unanswered points. Bucks have cut it to 2. Workman dodging Minnesota tacklers. Nice gain by Workman. That was the Dublin Dart at his best, Paul. Foggy with a touchdown run today of 14 yards and 1 yard. Or I should say 7 yards and 1 yard. Buckeyes' last touchdown, a short pass. Karsatos to Taggart. First and 10 following the run by Workman. Another run by Workman. That's a couple. Ball is loose. It's blown dead at the 15-yard line. Workman picked up 1 yard on the play. 2nd and 9. 10 minutes, 53 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. Minnesota holding on to a 2-point lead. Buckeyes knocking at the door again. Workman sweeping left in. He may go. Touchdown! Vince Workman pinch hitting for Keith Byers, sending the Buckeyes on top 23-19.
Big play for the Ohio State offense. Buckeyes really asserting themselves now. They're beginning to take control of this ball game.
You're up before, Paul. Maybe you need to go for 2 here. Give yourself a 6-point cushion.
Well, it looks like Earl Bruce is going to do exactly that to make it that much more difficult for Minnesota to come back.
Karsatos is out there. Buckeyes have the ball lined up in the middle of the field at the 3, and they are indeed set to go for 2 points after. Karsatos aiming one into the end zone beyond the fingertips of Taggart. Buckeyes 23, Minnesota 19 with 10 minutes and 36 seconds left in the ball game.
Jim Karsatos looking for Ed Taggart right over the middle. He has him open, throws the ball hurriedly behind Taggart a little bit. Taggart cannot adjust to the football and make the catch. Another view of that pattern. Taggart will release from his position from the left side to the right of the screen. The ball thrown just a little bit behind Ed Taggart. Off his fingertips, cannot quit it. Third shot from up top. And this is a shot of the touchdown run. A delayed counter by Workman. Gets a good block from Larry Cotterman. Workman goes down the sidelines, makes it to the end zone for the touchdown, the go-ahead touchdown for the Buckeyes.
Paul, that touchdown drive by the Bucks followed the first interception thrown this year by Foggy. And again, the Bucks, as they have repeatedly this season, capitalize on the turnover.
Well, it's been a big part of their success all year so far, and each time Ohio State has gained a turnover via fumble or interception, offensively they've done what a good football team should do, and that is to take it in. And that time they took it in to reestablish control of this football game for probably the first time today.
Good point, yes. Minnesota's had the upper hand. A 4-point lead for Ohio State with 10 minutes and 36 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Without Keith Byers, the Buckeyes finished off that drive. Vince Workman spelling Keith in grand style, strolling down the sidelines, tight roping his way to pay dirt.
Reverse counter, as you see, Vince Workman, he's running right behind Larry Cotterman, number 72, gets him a good block right there. Then Workman goes around the sidelines, does it on his own, and gets into the end zone, passing Matt Martinez, number 7, tight roping it and going all the way. Ohio State drive, 7 plays, 53 yards. It took 2 minutes, 55 seconds. And Vince Workman did the rest of the job on a 16-yard run.
Spangler will kick it off. And he hammers it deep into the end zone. Minnesota won't come back with it. Paul, the Buckeyes have taken the crowd out of this game.
They've definitely taken the crowd out of the game for the time being. It's been awfully quiet because, first of all, the Buckeyes shut Minnesota down defensively, and then they've taken the initiative offensively themselves. Golden Gophers have not been very resourceful in the last series, so we'll have to see what's in store now as Lou Holtz has removed his sweater, so you can tell that things have gotten heated up here in the Hubert H. Humphrey Dome.
I think Lou was pretty hot under the collar just a few minutes into this game, but he has got the Gophers at the 20, trailing with 4. Valdez Baylor knocked off his feet by Larry Kolick, who didn't start this game, but has played well since coming in. Buckeyes have really stiffened against the run this half. Minnesota's greatest success since intermission's been up top.
Well, it's been up top, but in the last series before this one started, the Gophers didn't have very much luck up top, and they look like they're starting to go back to what they've been going to all ball game long, which is the ground attack.
Foggy zeroing in over the middle. Eugene Gaylord, Mel Anderson's backup, makes a fine reception. First down, Gophers.
This is a slant-in pass over the middle. Gailford, another one of the fine receivers, hasn't caught very many balls coming into the day's ball game. Had caught up to 5 passes, but again, these Minnesota receivers, once they catch it, they really know how to make things happen with it.
9:45 left in the 4th quarter. 1st and 10, Minnesota. Foggy still has it, searching the secondary, lofting it. At the sideline, it was dropped by David Puck. Greg Rogan was in the area. That's the first one that I think we could put in the drop category for Minnesota today, Paul.
Now Puck will take this fake and then slide into the pattern, going down the middle and then angling out towards the sideline. Ball thrown fairly well. Puck just cannot quite make the catch off his hands. It would have been a tight throw in there to keep Puck's feet in bounds.
2nd and 10. Foggy throws high across the 40. Keith Byers putting a little weight on that right foot. 3rd and 10 coming up. Do you sense maybe the Gophers have left their game plan a little bit, Paul?
Well, their pass is working. Foggy's had a phenomenal percentage rate throwing the football today. He needs to throw a little bit more in this situation.
I formation. It bounced into the arms of the receiver. It's ruled incomplete. It was trapped downfield.
You can credit Ray Holloman for the last 2 offensive plays with applying maximum pressure on Ricky Foggy. Ray Holloman makes Foggy throw this ball. Number 55 makes him throw the football sooner than he really wants to throw the football. Ray Holloman doing a good job for Ohio State, putting pressure on the passer today.
Adam Kelly punting. Lanise looking for a wall of blockers. Splendid return by Lanise, whose forward progress reached the 37. And with 9 minutes and 10 seconds to go, the Buckeyes have the football with good field position, leading by 4 points. Workman is on the field. Byers still at the sideline.
Well, this is a situation, Jack, where Ohio State offensive team has to have a lot of poise and determination. This can be the clincher for them if they can put something on the board here.
They lead by 4. A field goal would give them a 7-point advantage. Well, let's don't think about that now. Let's consume about 7 or 8 minutes of the clock. Another long drive. It'd be just what the doctor ordered. Mike Lanise a bit shaken up. Very physical game today. Several Bucks have gone to the sideline with an ouch or 2. Minnesota has had its share of bumps and bruises as well. Mike Lanise caught a big pass in that last drive by Ohio State. I don't know that we've seen that many injuries in a single ball game this year, Paul.
It's been a hard-hitting contest, really, on both sides.
Both teams very intense. It's anyone's yet. Nate Harris has been inserted for Ohio State for Lanise. Workman cutting it back upfield to the 40. He netted 3 on the play. Under 9 minutes now left in the game. Buckeyes by 4, 23-19. Anthony Burke made the last tackle for Minnesota. John Hutchison is in at tight end. Closer to 8 yards needed for the Bucks for a first down. Line of scrimmage the 39. Harris in motion. Cooper striding for the first down near the 50. Dwayne Dutrell on the tackle.
Cooper going off right tackle with a big hole right there. Cotterman, 72, opening the way for him, and Powell driving down the field.
Paul, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, Earl Bruce has cited after each of those games an outstanding offensive lineman who he said played his best game of the year, and most recently a week ago Ulenake and Gilmore, who is leaving the playing field, had outstanding games a week ago, and as a unit this Buckeye offensive line the second half has been just tremendous. George Cooper looking for a hole. Picked up maybe a couple as he stepped across into the Minnesota end of the field. 8 minutes left in the game. Steve Arodis made the tackle for Minnesota, nose guard, who's now in. Harris split far left. Carter 7 yards to the right, to the bottom of the screen. Second down, 8. Pass is looped for Hutchison. He dropped it.
Well, Jim Karsatos threw a perfect strike right there. Hutchison just could not find the handle. Perhaps a little lack of concentration. As you see Karsatos dealing the ball out into the left flat. Hutchinson turning his head before looking it in, and that's one he'll wish he had caught.
Third down, 8 yards to go. Karsatos trying to improve here on his 11 for 18. Oh, he tries a handoff to Workman, who stumbles, doesn't get it. Buckeyes elected their ball to run it when I think Minnesota was expecting pass, but it just didn't get enough yards. And on 4th and 7, Tupa will boot. Tupa drills a towering kick. It hits inside the 10. Buckeyes will down it as that ball hopped straight up in the air, and the Buckeyes were able to gather around the football that was booted beautifully by Tupa. 7:04 left in the 4th quarter.
It was a great punt by Tom Tupa, kicking the ball high into the air. Ball hitting down right about inside of the 10-yard line. Having some backspin action and backing back up. It pins Minnesota back down deep in their own territory and forces them with a little over 7 minutes and 4 seconds to be precise, to go the entire length of the field for the 6-pointer to try to win this one.
A field goal will do the Gophers no good. They're down by 4. Keep in mind they missed a 2-point conversion earlier in this game, and they'd love to have that back. If they had converted on that one, they'd be within 2. And the Buckeye defense has taken care of the Minnesota offense in its last 2 possessions. A shot from the Minnesota end zone as the Gophers prepare for 1st and 10. They've got to trek in excess of 90 yards. They've got 7 minutes, 4 seconds, and 3 timeouts. Valdez Baylor rambles for 16.
Foggy faking the handoff to Wilson, deals it out to Valdez Baylor, the bread and butter man of this running attack. He runs very hard. Another look at the fake, and then the quick pitch out to Valdez Baylor. Good blocking at the point of attack. Baylor turns his shoulders upfield and slashes for good yardage. Great athletic talent, so you have to be wary when he's back in the pocket because he can escape.
From the wishbone on 3rd and 5. Foggy keeping. He slides forward. He's close to a 1st down. I think he's about a yard short. What would you do here, Paul, if you were Lou Holtz? 4th and a yard, 5.5 minutes left. You're down by more than a field goal.
Well, I'm glad I'm not coaching, but I would probably go for it because that's the offensive mindedness of what I have, and sometimes that's not always a good decision, but Lou feels that apparently he has to go for it in this situation anyway.
2 tight ends. 1st down. Baylor. 38.5. Minnesota territory. Foggy turns it upfield. Spielman clutched him from behind.
Minnesota trying a little different strategy now, running that option into the short side of the field. Not enough real estate there to work. However, they're making it work for pretty good yardage anyway, as Earl Bruce and both Lou Holtz in a critical part of this ball game now as we're getting down close to the 4-minute mark, about 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
2nd down and 3 following the 7-yard gain. Valdez Baylor trying to skirt right in. He managed to stay on his feet following contact at the line of scrimmage. Close to the 1st down.
Great job done by William White, who just refuses to give ground right on this block right here and does manage to trip up Valdez Baylor, causing him to stumble for the yardage that he needed to get close to the 1st down.
And following a measurement, it is a Minnesota 1st down. Long count. The fullback, Puck, and he netted about 4.
Ricky Foggy apparently checked off at the line of scrimmage. Maybe he saw something, gave the ball to the first back, Puck. He's hammered by Eric Kumaro after handing the ball off, and he goes to the turf.
Actually, the gain a little closer to 5 or 6 yards for Puck. Second down. Puck over left guard to about the 42. Again, the Gophers are close to a first down. Clock is running under 3 minutes to go. 2:50.
The Gophers are now going to have to be a little bit more aware of the clock. They're still not close enough inside. They're outside of the 40-yard line.
3rd and less than 1 from the wishbone. Foggy keeping. First down. First down, Minnesota from the I. First man through, took the handoff. Puck worked his way forward for a couple or 3 at the most. Darrell Lee is in on defense. Larry Kolick is in the middle. Fred Ritter, number 90, is in. Foggy has a man available down inside the 25 to the 20. Kevin Stark, who caught a touchdown pass against OSU here last year, picks this one off.
Foggy electing to go underneath the coverage to Kevin Starks. He allows the linebackers to take their drop. And just as last week, Jim Everett threw a knot underneath the coverage, Foggy goes underneath the coverage this time. Stark gets downfield and picks up another first down for the Gophers.
1:50 left in the game. 1st and 10. Foggy to the 15 or 16-yard line. Spielman.
He did not get out of bounds, Jack, and the clock is still moving. Minnesota is going to have to be a little bit more aware and cognizant of getting out of bounds and conserving time.
Gophers have 2 timeouts left. Clock winding down. Nearing 1:20 left in the game. Second and a little more than 5. Foggy to pass for Anderson in the corner of the end zone. It's too far. Didn't want to take a look at this one as Foggy keeps it. He's knocked down at the 11. Good pursuit for the Buckeyes, who kept Foggy short of a first down. Sonny Gordon and William White came up to meet him. Under a minute left. Clock is stopped at 52 seconds by a Minnesota timeout. Well, Foggy was really crunched on that play, Paul, but and he no doubt has had the wind knocked out of him. But what liberties do players take nowadays in trying to buy some extra time for their team by faking an injury late in the ball game?
Well, I don't think that in this instance there was a liberty that was taken. And he was really genuinely hit pretty hard, and also that once he is on his feet and taken off the field, the clock will start again. So Minnesota, of course, has 2 timeouts left, and it would have been convenient to take one there, but believe me, if he probably could have gotten to his feet.
He would have.
He would have.
Sure. And Lou Holtz has got to do without Foggy. And Alan Holt, who is in for one brief series in the second quarter, is now confronted with 4th and 1. I don't believe he made it. Buckeyes held. Valdez Baylor toted the ball forward for about 2 feet, but he's short, it appears. We may have a measurement. Buckeye has been made here, but I think the officials may take a little closer examination of it.
State has made the plays both offensively and defensively when they have had to make them today. Look at the replay. Look at 55. Ray Holman across the line of scrimmage. Thomas Johnson across the line of scrimmage. Big surge. More white jerseys across that line of scrimmage before you see the maroon jerseys of the Golden Gophers. And those players, Thomas Johnson, Ray Holman, made it happen on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Lou Holtz, disappointed.
And the Buckeyes will have to begin this last play with 25 seconds remaining on the play clock. In fact, the play clock is 1 second ahead of the scoreboard clock. They'll probably just take a 5-yard penalty and then just sit on it. Of course, you're down awful close to the end zone, but safety would do no harm. You're up by 4, 5 seconds left in the game. Many thanks to our statistician, Dave Nielsen. Fine job. Jim Henderson was with us today. He spotted. Final comments from Paul Warfield.
Well, short comments is that Ohio State is in the race and still going strong. Great effort offensively, defensively today, and defeating a fine Minnesota football club.
For Paul, this is Jack Kramer saying so long from the Metrodome in Minneapolis. The final score, the Buckeyes 23, the Gophers 19.
Broadcast and production of Ohio State football is provided in part through a funding grant from City Loan Bank of Lima, member FDIC, with offices throughout the state of